friends, welcome to day 14 of MERMAY 2018. I've got Steve for your Monday.
Hello everybody, happy Monday.
We had a fantastic weekend. Thank you for everyone weighing in on Mother's Day yesterday and sharing your beautiful stories with us as well.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Had a really great time reading those.
It was cute.
So today we're just using a stencil and a pencil and we're going to...
That rhymed. A stencil and a pencil.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
I spent all day on that. We're going to
You'll be here all day, folks.
Thank you. We're just going to create something really fabulous with a stencil. Now, here's the thing. I don't think stencils get enough airtime because we all have them and we all use them in our backgrounds.
Yeah, but do you feel like the reason why is because people feel like it's a little fake, like it's not really their idea? Like
Possibly, that didn't even cross my mind. Look, I just think some of them are really beautifully designed, and this flourish that I had here, like, I don't ever really find a reason to use this in my art journaling. Yeah. It is a really beautiful stencil, so I thought, well, what if I just made mermaids out of this? They could that could be their tails.
It's like not angelfish. What are those fish? The beta fish? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I know.
The ones that they have to exist by themselves.
Totally
in their
looks
own.
like that.
Yeah.
So I
beta fish are scared. They have to live by themselves. You know that?
Oh really? They eat people? I mean,
no. Like I think it's the two. Like you can't have two male beta fish together.
I think you couldn't have two alpha fish together. But chink.
And good night. But no, you can't have two male beta fish together because they'll attack each other.
Oh, really?
And that's why if you see, like, I think this is probably hearsay, so don't quote me on this.
Steve's a zoologist, but apparently.
Like, I guess, like, when they look at the reflection in their tank, sometimes they start to fight it, so that they get all flared up. You see them get flared up and get in fighting mode, and, like, they start to kind of attack it.
So they're super aggressive and don't have brains.
Yeah, but they don't have brains, but they have beauty.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all you need. Mm-hmm. It's not what's on the inside, it's what you look like that counts.
Exactly.
Look, so we're doing this today. I just want to let the stencil have a moment. I want to let it shine. I thought, why don't we do this? And in the end, I actually really love how it turned out. It's kind of fun. It kind of looks like a screen print, because I didn't outline any of the actual pink. Yeah. So it has this fun, like, screen printing look where it looks like you did the pink and then you overlaid the black lines on top. I'm actually going to have a tutorial of this up.
Oh, nice.
To help you guys add the bodies to your own stencils, and hopefully you can come up with something quite similar if that's the look you're going for. I just think it's fun to try, to be honest.
Yeah, why not, right?
I mean, it looks super weird, but...
I think it's really clever. I wouldn't have thought about it.
I just liked the idea. And that was what MERMAY was all about, just trying all these new things. It's very Shakira in Zootopia, try everything.
I love that song.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I feel like that movie, I guess it gets a lot of credit, but you don't always hear about it.
Every time we go past the photo greeting spot in California Adventure, you always say how much you love them.
Yeah, because you don't always see them.
No.
Yeah, so it's always fun to see
Nick and Judy.
Yeah, I always forget their names, that too. I was like, that's Nick and what's her name?
What's her face?
Yeah.
Bunny Rabbit Lady.
Yeah.
So anyway, today, let's have a chat about something that you might be able to help us out with. Creative block.
Creative block.
I'm not saying it for any personal reasons, but I know a friend. I'm a friend of a friend who sometimes experiences creative block. Now, what kind of practical advice do you have, if any, or what do you even think of the subject matter?
You're asking me this?
Yeah, I'm opening Pandora's box, because I know a lot of people are going to have differing opinions on this, but welcome to the internet.
Yeah, here we go. It's vulnerable. I think it's... I don't know. I get it all the time.
Yeah.
Always.
See, noticing you from the outside, I think you don't get creative block so much as you get creative congestion. You have like 35 ideas all trying to exit the one portal.
Yeah, and then I get kind of overwhelmed by it, then I don't do anything.
Right. You've always got about 16 different photo shoots going on in your head, even as you're doing one.
I know, and maybe what I should do is I should just like knock all the 16 photo shoots out and then do all the editing later. Because typically the way I do is like I'll set up a shoot and then I'll edit it and then I'll premiere it, and I do it in that order. But I'm finding that I feel like it just gets premiere, and I think I just kind of get in my own way. So maybe I should just like coordinate all of them and then release them whenever I'm done releasing them.
Yeah, look, it's something to think about when you're a creative person, because it can be quite challenging to get stuck. And sometimes it feels like you should just throw the towel in. Sometimes it feels you just don't even know what to do next. Or you feel super overwhelmed and suddenly you're not enjoying that process anymore.
Well, why do you feel like that is? Is it because, do you feel like it's
expectation?
The expectation of it not coming out the way you wanted it to come out, or being frustrated? Because I get that too. I did a photo shoot a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now. Holy crap. That I, like, the expectation was there and it didn't come out the way I wanted it, and so now I'm trying to salvage the pieces to make it usable.
Yeah, I think expectation has a lot to do with why people suddenly feel stuck and why suddenly they're in a headspace that isn't enjoyable anymore. Especially if you're doing something collaborative. Like when you do photo shoots, there's always the idea that the people in the photo shoots are going to like it as well. The vendors that you use are going to be happy with the product and stuff like that. And it's that kind of expectation that you don't need in the back of your head.
Right, because it does become crippling. Yeah. And I think instead of like sitting there being angry that it's not exactly what you wanted it to be, I think you look at it for what it is for and essentially make lemonade.
Yeah. I think my personal view on it is because I do approach this creative block a lot, but I'm always playing. And even through that creative block, I'm always at least trying something new. And I think the best thing to know is that you don't have to show everyone everything.
Right.
And to know what is for your process and what's for your learning and what's for your growth, and then to know what's for your audience and to know what's to share and what people can take from you to learn. I don't typically, just wake up every day and think whatever happens and that's just it. I think a lot of it is discipline as well, because there are so many times when you could say like, yeah, it's fine to play and no one has to see it, but also now I'm discouraged. And getting through that point of feeling like you don't even want to try, I think that's when that discipline kicks in. And if you're truly passionate about it, you'll do it anyway.
Right.
Even if it's frustrating you, because sometimes I think in those moments where you're actually truly frustrated, you're working from a stronger drive to get it right.
Yeah, and then it's also a learning experience, right? So you learn something new comes out that you didn't expect to come out of it. And, it does get incredibly frustrating. And so I think you can look at it two ways. You can look at it like, creative block, or, wow, like, look at the inspiration that I did have to do this and to be thankful for that and just to kind of complete the task at hand. Because, like you said, ultimately, not everybody has to see it. And it's more of a growth process for you because we're humans. We're always evolving. We're always growing. And I think you're growing in your art, too. Yeah. And, and I see you get it. And I also see, like, the stuff that you had, not even that, I guess we're going to measure it in success, right? That, some stuff they're like, I don't like it. I'm like, I love it. And other stuff where you're like, oh, I love this. I'm like, I don't get it. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
I think it's all just, it's relative.
It's crazy because it is subjective. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of stuff that I would nix that doesn't necessarily need to be forgotten about. But, for my own reasons, I do it. And I think that's, you have to kind of acknowledge where you're at. And I think that's why as artists, it's okay, and creative people, to have a level of discernment about your own work. I don't necessarily think you're bashing your own work or don't have a go at something and then mess it up a little and then say you're the worst person in the world. You should never draw again. Mm-hmm. But do acknowledge, like, that's not what I set out to do. I didn't learn what I wanted to learn from that. I'm going to have to give this another go.
Right.
Or I did my best, and I think I'm going to leave this for when I've got new skills to try this again.
Right, because I think, sometimes things are also happy accidents, right?
Every day I'm having at least one or two happy accidents. Yeah. But that comes from playing, and I think, I'm not encouraging you to... I actually do. I do encourage you to play all the time. I think that's why I make tutorials whenever I'm enjoying something, I'm enjoying a process, because, I'm just looking at my stencils. The only reason I had the stencils out was because I was moving them from one box to another. Yeah. And I thought, I haven't used these in a while, and we're doing MERMAY. I should play with some stencils and stamps. And how to play with them. I saw this flourish and I thought, for the longest time I've never done anything with that. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I was like, I think I'm just going to make these mermaid tails. Yeah. That's a creative process where you're playing and then suddenly you're able to share that with people. Now, I did a bunch of these before I even did today's. Like, there's a bunch in my journal that I'll show in the tutorial. And I've been doing them, like, just in the hopes that I would get something teachable out of it. Yeah. Because I did want to turn some of these mermaid videos into tutorials. But, there are other times when I sit down and I have the same drive, I have the same passion to learn something or to make something work, and I don't get anywhere near this level of finished. And there's so many pieces that They just don't work. The ideas were there, but they didn't work for me.
But the thing is, you can't get discouraged about it. That's the point, right? And I think, like...
And you can't blame creative block. I think it's a bit of a cop-out if you let that stop you.
Right, and I feel like everything has a purpose, right? Everything leads us to the next thing. So with creative block, I think if you try it, then you get a happy accident, which a happy accident then turns into something, a new discovery becomes a new lesson, and then that leads to another thing, and opens little by little different gateways in your brain and your creativity that you can then use later on and use forever.
I do believe people burn out. I do think that that's a thing, and you should definitely take the rest. But for some reason, I get this impression that a lot of people say creative block to buy them some time to try again. And it's kind of like, how much of a window do you want to give yourself? Because ultimately, you're taking away from your experience. Like, if you're going to sit in this creative block and tell everyone you've got creative block and nothing's happening,
you're hindering yourself. It's just,
what's it for?
Well, I get that it becomes crippling, and it can become like, it's a little bit like anxiety, you know? You sit there and you just get anxious over it, but
who misses out?
Yeah, you.
Right.
You're doing it to yourself. So that's why I just kind of...
I hope that doesn't sound too harsh. I know what this is like because I've been in this place before where I kept saying to myself, oh, well, it's okay that I'm not trying anything new today because I don't feel it. Mm-hmm. And I've learned to worry less about feeling it and just doing it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, once I have that accident, then I can feel that.
Well, and I guess if you're looking for, like, validation, affirmation, like on an Instagram, like you say, if one person likes it, then that's one person aside from you that happens to like it.
Yeah. Instagram is a valuable marketing tool, but it can be very intimidating to post your stuff. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it can be like the breaker of dreams.
Oh, really?
Sometimes I think it's like, you know, sometimes I'm really moved by a photo that I absolutely adore and love, and while it might do well, it doesn't do as well as maybe I'd hoped. But then I also have to look at my market, and I'm like, my market is maybe primarily, you know, 20, 30-something-year-old females who are, you know, brides or going to be brides, and you know, I can't post like, you know, a picture that's maybe more fashion, like a fashion editorial, kind of in that vein, might not get as many likes because that's probably not what's on their mind. Yeah, but I think we've talked about this before, but it all goes hand in hand with who you are as a creative individual. You don't want to lose your own creative voice for that one market. You can't cater to or pander to everyone's aesthetic and everyone's requests and preferences. But I think more what I wanted to get at is if you're the type of person to get blocked creatively, I'd encourage you just to give it a go in that space. Yeah, work through it, you know? Because you truly never know what's going to come out of it. Right. And, like, I mean, I'll just pose this theoretical, philosophical question. Where does creativity come from? Oh, okay, I got this. Oh, you know, because Elizabeth Gilbert, right? Elizabeth Gilbert. Well, I think a lot of people believe it's innately inherent in their bodies. Well, right. So there's a couple of different things. I think I'm going to say something different than what you're thinking of. Oh, okay. You know, she talks in the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. If you haven't read it, I highly encourage anybody who's creative to read it. If you have audiobooks, just to listen to it, maybe while you're drawing or even while you're driving. I mean, it's super inspiring and encouraging. And one thing she says, she talks about inspiration. She goes, an inspiration essentially kind of moves like an energy. And inspiration, when it comes to you, it finds a willing body, a willing being to bring whatever idea to life. So inspiration comes and hits you and is literally waiting for you to be a vessel to bring whatever this inspiration is to life. And sometimes we get caught up in ourselves, in our lives, in our schedules, in our brains. We're like, no, I can't do it. And so inspiration will stick around for a little while. And then eventually it sees that it's not really being used or utilized or appreciated. And before you know it, inspiration will move from you into another willing body. Mm-hmm. And like, why miss out on that opportunity? That's what I've been saying about staying up at 4:00 lately, because I've been on these like bursts of inspiration for hours and hours and hours in the morning where I'm just like, if I don't get this out, it's going to go. Right. And I think there's things that were in my creative process where I'm like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do it. And sometimes it's also maybe putting yourself on a little bit of a schedule too, like understanding like, well, I'm really inspired to do this, so I should just do it now. And she talks about that like with writing her books. Like she'll be, you know, like doing something, she'll be in the middle of whatever, and like an idea will hit. And she would grab a napkin, kind of like what J.K. Rowling did. Like, you grab a napkin and a pen and you just scribble out a basic outline, and there's, like, the first idea draft of whatever your story is, and like you've written it all out, and then you know, like, okay, well now I can go build on this. And J.K. Rowling, that's how she built the whole Harry Potter empire, which turned, you know, not a poverty-stricken woman, but a woman with very little money into
I think she was
an
approaching
empire.
the poverty level.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, and I've totally done that on my phone before. Like, my notes section is just lit with things that say, like, watermelon fairy feet, and just anything that, like, came to my mind where I thought, if I just write these words down, I'll know what I mean when I come back to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't. I'm not specific enough and completely forget. But, yeah, I do think that it's a scary thought to believe that creativity is that lives in you, and that it is of you.
But what an incredible thought too.
It is. I think it's two sides of the coin. I mean, you don't want to be responsible for it, because what happens when it doesn't show up?
See, so here, this is the cynic and the dreamer speaking.
No, I'm just saying that's the type of time when I feel like people start to blame themselves, and when people start to get the ultimate feeling of discouragement. Discouragement? I don't know.
Yeah.
How would you say that? When they start to feel the worst about it because they believe that it's somehow their fault, their failure. I think if you either just let it come and you try your best and you're just doing whatever you can do to keep going in a forward motion, even if it means like you don't have an original thought today, there are billions of tutorials on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 30 different tutorials. You could literally just pop one on and copy. And then, you know what I mean? Like, I've been doing a tutorial before, halfway through it, I thought, oh, I want to do this now. And just scrapped the tutorial and started doing something else.
Of course.
You just go for it, and then tell me if you're actually blocked or not.
Yeah, and you can also blame yourself. It's kind of going back to Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert, the book, where she said back in what was it, like in prior to the Renaissance, they believed that creativity was like
was a gift from the divine,
right? Like a divine spirit, like a deity.
Yeah.
And when you accepted this inspiration or this gift and you created whatever art you created, like
you were the vessel for it.
Yes, and so people essentially didn't worship the being, you as the individual, but they worshipped the deity, like for, thank you, like for the creativity and the blessing that you've given us. But it wasn't until the Renaissance where people's kind of minds flipped and they started praising the work, like the creator,
the artist.
So like Michelangelo, Da Vinci, and all that stuff, and so everybody's mind shifted to saying, wow, they are so inspired, they are so great.
That human is great.
Right.
Not the divine inspiration that gave them the creativity to do it.
Right. And so now, and so Elizabeth Gilbert is kind of reintroducing this idea that we are all blessed with this like divine spirit, this creative energy and spirit, and which is a part of you, and you want to thank them for whatever you create. And sometimes your divine spirit wants to show up, and sometimes your divine spirit wants to take a break, wants a day off.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is like you can look at it in a certain way where it's like you're just not taking responsibility for your failures.
Yeah.
Which is an important thing for a lot of people, because those failures, once they start to add up, become reasons to not keep going.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really great way to think of it. I've named my creative spirit that gives me my inspiration. Her name is Marcia.
She's so exotic.
I'm a little afraid of her, to be honest. She's a slave driver, but
oh well, now you know who you are.
But I encourage you to think of it that way. If you're the type of person that maybe is a bit of a quitter, maybe is a bit of a person that looks for excuses or reasons not to keep going, just remember, like, don't take too much human credit for the stuff that you do, because you're also going to have to take credit for the times that it doesn't work out.
Right.
And I think that story that she came up with was about dealing with the fact that some of your best work might be behind you.
Yeah.
So J.K. Rowling, like, will she ever write another series of books like Harry Potter? You'd want to hope so, but that's a big task.
Right, but she's also okay, like J.K. Rowling is also okay understanding what her Harry Potter empire is, and while she continues to bring out more stories like Fantastic Beasts and kind of like little like one-offs and things that are derivative of Harry Potter, these little branches, I think it just continues to expand whatever that franchise is. Yeah, and I think going on failures, something that one of my best friends, Season, told me. She is like a sister to me. I was in grad school and I was so frustrated about something. I don't remember what it was. I think I didn't get a role or I didn't get a song. I don't remember what was happening. And she looked at me, she goes, Steve, she goes, another person's success doesn't equal your failure. And it was so powerful and pivotal in my life. And it completely has shifted since that moment has shifted how I kind of view my career, my job, my creativity, and knowing that everybody's on a journey, and what's meant for them on their journey is meant for them, and what's meant for me on my journey is meant for me. And it's a blessing in both ways. And knowing that I don't have to measure my success or measure myself or my ability based on somebody else is so freeing. And I think it's the same thing with you. Like when you get into your creative block, you can't be like, oh, well, you know, Jody doesn't do it as great as I do it. Or vice versa. Let me switch that. Jody does it better than I do it. It's like Jody might have a different eye or perspective than you do, and God bless Jody. Jody is just a hypothetical name, by the way.
We do have a friend.
I do have a friend named Jody.
Like...
Yeah, no, but it's just the first name that popped into my brain. So it's like while Jody has their gift and that's their success, it doesn't mean that my gift and what I have is a failure.
Yeah,
I'm just successful differently, you know. And I think it's the same thing that you have too. With
they can have opportunity that you don't necessarily get, but you also have opportunity,
right?
And it's not for you to demand that your life goes in a certain direction. I feel like you can have an idea of it, but I think you want to kind of just leave that stuff up to, you know, the divine creator, because that, you know, once you start getting in too much control, you realize how out of control everything really is. So I think it's better just to be a little bit more simple about it. I would encourage you to just keep going through that. If you are one of those people like Steve that has that more creative congestion, I'd recommend just diving into a part of it and trying to, you know, unscramble the roadblock a little bit. If you're one of the people that ends up with zero ideas when you're at creative block, I'd recommend that you just start a tutorial, even if you think it's going to be boring, even if you think you can't be bothered. I'm almost going to guarantee that halfway through it, you'll be inspired to divert off of that and try something else. But yeah, I just think as far as creative roadblock goes, I do want to acknowledge that I do believe it's a real thing, but I don't believe it's a real problem.
No, because I think when you really like narrow it down, you get down to like the foundation, like the nitty gritty and all of it, you're making art. And how fun is it? And how incredible is it that you have that ability and that talent to do it? And I think
sometimes I just think, how lucky am I that I can like use the pencils that I want to use, and that I can sit down today and I can draw things. And people want to watch that, and people want to like buy a product from my store because they liked what they saw. Like, that to me is incredible. You would think if someone told you in school that's what you'd be doing, you'd be like, well, I don't know how I'd live, but maybe. Yeah,
and not everybody also has, you know, like your journey is your journey, and you're fortunate and blessed in your blessing. And there's other people who do this because, you know, they just, it allows them to be free. It allows them to escape from their daily lives. And I guess my point is that it's not, none of it is really that serious.
Oh no. That's why I always try to laugh about everything.
Yeah. I mean, it is easier to laugh about it all, isn't it? That's what I've learned from you. That's what I learned from your mom.
From my mom, definitely.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day, Mama.
Belated. Literally 2 days late down there.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you really do have to laugh off a bit of it. Especially sometimes when I'm talking to Steve and I'm talking about a real dramatic problem. And you know I bring it Real Housewives style. Uh-huh. And Steve's just looking at me like, yeah, a pencil.
Yeah. It's paint.
But you have no idea what that story meant.
And it's like, I know, I'm like, but it's like, he was so frustrated one time when like they were out of a certain watercolor paper and he just couldn't handle it. How am I going to get it? And I was like, babe, it's paper. Like, there's another one out there that you can figure out. No, but I really need it. I'm like, it's paper.
Yeah, I've also said the same about Steve's photography, so there is give and take there. At least there's balance.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm gonna head off and get this tutorial ready for you. Let's pray that Marcy is waiting.
Yeah. Hey, and I hope you guys all have a great day. And you know, remember, like, you guys get to do this, and it's so much fun. You're super blessed to do it, and I'm appreciative of it. I appreciate seeing all the work that you guys do, because it is very inspiring to me.
Yeah. And today's Monday, so start of a new week, start of a new opportunity to learn how you tackle creative roadblock, I guess.
For sure.
Until tomorrow, or later today.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.